Good afternoon and welcome to the Public Service Commission of South Carolina. It is Thursday, March the 14th at 2:01 p.m. and we are here for our regularly scheduled business meeting. Before we begin, let's take a roll call of commissioners. Present in the hearing room, we have Commissioner Justin Williams, Vice Chair Powers, Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner Carolee Williams, Commissioner Caston, and Chair Belser. Before we begin our agenda today, I invite you to join me for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Scarborough.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Vice Chair Powers, and Commissioners. First item of business is to set the next regularly scheduled Commission business meeting. Staff recommends that the next meeting be set for Thursday, March 21st, 2024 at 2 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Scarborough. We will set our next regularly scheduled business meeting for Thursday, March 14th at 2 p.m.
Thank you. Today we
I'm sorry, 21st.
21st.
Today's the 14th.
Thank you. Today we have 2 items on the utilities agenda and 6 items on our transportation agenda. Item number 1 appears in docket number 2015-310E. This is a request from Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated for approval of the 6th Amendment to the Contract for Electric Service with Devro Incorporated and a request for confidential treatment of certain portions of the agreement.
Commissioners, we've heard utilities agenda item number 1 is identified by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Chair Belser, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carolee Williams is recognized.
Thank you. I move that the Commission carry over the request for approval of the contract based on the request of the Office of Regulatory Staff that we carry over this request further for further time to investigate. Further, I move that the Commission grant the request for confidential treatment of the 6th Amendment requested by Dominion. Dominion asserts that the 6th Amendment contains commercially sensitive and proprietary information that is entitled to protection under the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Carolee Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Carolee Williams.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Item number 2 on the agenda appears in docket number 2022-398WS. This item involves a management agreement between Defusky Island Utility Company Incorporated and Guastella Associates.
Commissioners, we've heard utilities agenda item 2 as identified by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Vice Chair Powers is recognized.
Thank you. I move the Commission approve the management agreement dated December 31st, 2021 as supplemented by the addendum to management agreement dated October 6, 2023 and filed with the Commission on October 12, 2023, setting forth terms between Defusky Island Utility Company and Guastella Associates, LLC. Approval of the contract herein does not guarantee recovery of any payment under the contract, as any expenditures pursuant to the contract are subject to a review for reasonableness, prudency, and adherence to general rate-making principles in a rate case or other proceeding addressing rates or cost recovery. In other words, approval of the contract does not inhibit or impair any party of record from examining or making recommendations concerning the appropriate rate-making treatment, recovery of costs or expenses, accounting treatment, and activities under the contract for reasonableness and prudency and other general rate-making principles in any future proceeding addressing rates or cost recovery. Costs and expenses pursuant to the contract will be subject to the same review as other costs and expenses in a proceeding addressing cost recovery or rates. The Commission would take this opportunity to remind DIUC that pursuant to South Carolina Code Annotated Regulation 103-541 and 103-743, any contract which impacts or pertains to its fitness, willingness, or ability to provide its services must be submitted in form, and that is before execution of the contract to the Commission and ORS for review and approval by the Commission. So moved.
Thank you, Vice Chair Powers. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Vice Chair Powers. Is there any discussion? Vice Chair Powers, may I go? I'm in support of this motion, and if we will recall, this contract was discussed in DeFusky Island Utilities' last rate case. During that case, it was recognized that the contract had not been submitted to the commission for approval, and the commission directed the utility to file the contract for approval. The current contract and earlier additions of the contract have been in effect for a number of years. And I think that, or my recollection is that the commission directed DeFusky Island Utility to file the contract for approval to bring it into compliance, bring the utility into compliance with the regulation. This contract, review of this contract and approval here right now would not impact rates that are now set for DeFusky. And I'm in favor of going ahead and approving the contract, although I may have drafted it differently because it is currently in effect and it was addressed in the last rate case. However, as I understand this motion, nothing prohibits DeFusky Island Utility and the ORS to continue discussions for future contracts or for the management agreement. There are, and it came out in the rate case, there are some terms in this contract that if I was drafting it, I probably would have put them in a separate agreement. I would have probably done the management agreement to cover day-to-day activities, and those other terms that are not related to the day-to-day activities, I'd probably put those in a separate contract. But that's just me, and I can't manage the utility. So that's where I'm coming from. But the point I'm trying to make is, regardless of whether those terms are in one agreement or in separate agreements, anytime the utility comes in and asks for coverage of expenses under the contract, whether it's one or more than one, those are properly reviewed in a rate-making case or other case where rates are being addressed. And so that's why I will support the motion to go ahead and approve this contract. But I would suggest that the utility and ORS continue discussions. If ORS has concerns, they can make those known to the utility. This is not a mandate because we don't get to tell ORS what to do. But I do know that if a utility has questions, that they can go to ORS and say, how can we do this better, or is there a better way? That they can get assistance from ORS or at least talk about it to see if there is a separate way. But anyway, I would just say that, and I do recognize that any recovery of expenses, whether under a contract or other operating and maintenance expenses or capital improvements, expenses under contracts will be reviewed in the same manner as recovery of other expenses in a rate case. And that just needs to be out there, that questions regarding the contract and expenses and what was actually done pursuant to the contract and whether those expenses are reasonable and prudent and, show benefit to the ratepayer and the utility, and that enables the commission to balance whether or not those expenses are appropriate for rate recovery. Those will be questions that need to come up in a rate case, and people are going to need to be able to address it. If a party challenges the expenses, they need to be able to say why, and the utility or the party saying that those expenses are appropriate, they need to be able to say why, and that's what we're going to be looking for, just as in any other rate case. So I support your motion. I appreciate you making it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments? Commissioner Carolee Williams?
Thank you, Chair Belzer. I just want to add to what the chair and the vice chair have said about this particular motion. And I appreciate that in response to our past order, the Daniel Island Utility Company has provided us with their management agreement and the addendums for approval. As the vice chair mentioned, this motion for approval revolves around the company being fit, willing, and able to serve this community's provision of water and sewer, and I'll be voting to support the approval of the management agreement, which has been in effect since June of 2015 without commission approval. I do note that the Defusky Island Utility Company regards a very unique service territory that is an island that is only serviced by boat. Utility service to this island is very much appreciated. There are elements in this management agreement that I think it would be wise for the company to consider with regard to reasonableness and prudency that include, but aren't limited to, the management fee and its automatic increase formula, the financing fee, the capital fee, the incentive fee. I agree that it is the role of this commission to evaluate these qualities, among others, as they relate to reasonableness and prudency of the fees in the context of a rate case. So for all these reasons, I'll be supporting your motion.
Well, thank you. I would add that it's with the unfortunate demise of Mr. Costello, this is something that has probably had more time sitting than we would have wanted. But I think it's important to get them back in line, particularly with the regulations that all utilities have to deal with. And that is part of why I make this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams, and thank you, Vice Chair. Any further comments? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Vice Chair Powers.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams.
Aye.
The chair votes aye.
Madam Chair, that concludes the utilities agenda before the commission. Moving on to the motor carrier agenda. In Part A, we have 4 requests for Class C certificates. Item A1 appears in docket number 2024-69T, which is the application of Ritz Limo LLC for a Class C charter certificate. Item A2 is in docket number 2024-70T, which is an application from McDonald Roadway Allies LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item A3 appears in docket number 2024-71T. This is the application of Caretakers Transport LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. And item A4 is in docket number 2024-72T. This is the application of Frazier Transport LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate.
Commissioners, we've heard the identification of motor carrier agenda items A1 through A4. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Thomas is recognized.
thank you. I move that the commission approve the applications for Class C certificates in item numbers A1 through A4 as listed by Mr. Scarborough.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion of Commissioner Thomas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
and I vote aye. The motion carries.
In Part B of the transportation agenda, we have 1 request to amend a certificate. Item B1 appears in docket number 2008-109T. This is a request from Michael S. Nerwinski, doing business as Fairway Moving Services, to amend Class E household goods certificate number 9770 to read statewide.
Commissioners, we've heard agenda item B2 on the motor carriers agenda as identified by Mr. Scarborough. Is there a motion?
Chair Belser, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams is recognized.
Thank you. I move that the commission grant the request of Michael S. Nerwinski, doing business as Fairway Moving Services, to amend their Class E household goods certificate number 9770 to read statewide.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Carol Lee Williams. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Carol Lee Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Caston,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion carries.
In Part C of the transportation agenda, we have 1 request for an extension of time. Item C1 is in docket number 2023-256T. This is a request of Precise Transportation and Logistics, LLC, for a 6-month extension of time to comply with Commission rules and regulations.
Commissioners, we've heard agenda item C1 identified by Mr. Scarborough. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Caston is recognized.
I move that the Commission grant the request of Precise Transportation and Logistics, LLC, for a 6-month extension of time until August 27th, 2024, to comply with Commission rules and regulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Caston. Commissioners, we've heard the motion from Commissioner Caston. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote, starting with Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Commissioner Justin Williams,
Aye.
Vice Chair Powers,
Aye.
Commissioner Carol Lee Williams.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion carries.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, this concludes all business noticed before the Commission today.
Thank you, Mr. Scarborough. As previously indicated, our next commission business meeting will be next Thursday, March 21st at 2 p.m.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Justin Williams.
just a point of personal privilege. I learned recently that former Commissioner Swain Whitfield's sister passed away suddenly. Just want to send thoughts, prayers, and well wishes out to former Commissioner Whitfield and his family.
Thank you, Commissioner Justin Williams. I appreciate you doing that, and we certainly do wish former Commissioner Whitfield and his family the best in trying circumstances and send our condolences. Thank you. And with that, wish everyone a good afternoon, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. I was just